Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Halo teman-teman, jumpa lagi sama saya Hasnul Insani Johar. Kalau kemarin saya sudah membahas tentang Bildungsroman in Mohja Kahf, The Girl in Tangerine Scarf, focusing on finding saya yang pertama yaitu Bildungsroman in Transcultural Journey of the Protagonist. Nah, sekarang saya fokus kepada spiritual and also physical journey and development of the protagonist Kadra. Mohja Kahf protagonis Kadra. Nah, bagaimana sih development personal and spiritual development dan juga spiritual and communal development of the Kadra or Mohja Kahf protagonis. So, ya seperti biasa kita mix English and Indonesia, Bildungsroman. So if the previous video I engage with scholar and theories and also the finding, one of my finding focusing on music and dance in Mohja Kahf. Now I focus on the form emphasized on the personal and cultural formation of the protagonist. So this video focuses on how Kahf mapped the personal development of her protagonist onto a physical journey, a common feature of the Bildungsroman. So however, Kahf revises this important trope to emphasize the importance of both migration and spiritual journey to the personal development of her protagonist. So indeed, the significance of faith in Kahf novel can be seen in the quotation from the Quran that provide the epigraph to most chapters of the novel. So the novel insists on the importance of sacred texts, the Quran and Hadith, in developing her protagonist's personality and spirituality. So by Islamization, the journey alternately imagined as hijrah and hajj in the novel, Kahf demonstrate how Bildungsroman can be revised to accommodate the religious and cultural tradition of non-Euro-American subjects. So indeed, Kahf quotes the surah of the Quran, Surat At-Taubah 21, quote, "Go forth lightly and heavily," end quote, to represent how the notion of hijrah or movement becomes central to Kadra's development, allowing her to prepare and establish her own personal and spiritual journeys, including conducting the Hajj or pilgrimage to Mecca, where global ummah intersects and interacts. So, Kahf, the girl in the Tangerine Scarf, deal with the story of Kadra Shami, a Syrian American who immigrated from Syria with her family, who were escaping the Bashar al-Assad regime when she was 5 years old. So the first migrate to the Rocky Mountains and then to Indiana, the crossroad of America, when Kadra and her elder brother Ayad are 7 and 9 years old respectively. So spanning the years 1967 to 1997, the novel traces Kadra's upbringing, her developing activism, her early marriage, a divorce and abortion, all framed within the pursuit of her dream of becoming a professional photographer. So Kahf text not only recounts Kadra's spiritual journey to Saudi Arabia and Syria, but also explores Kadra's hijrah or migration from Syria to the United States and vice versa. So this migration connotes both physical and spiritual movements. Physically, it moves across continents and countries, and psychologically, it moves from the dark experience, such as struggling to find peace, both in her two home countries, Syria and United States, and in her family, as she is divorced, into the enlightened experience of finding her own happiness by amalgamating her Islamic heritage and American popular culture. In doing so, Kahf depicts Khadra as both muhajir or traveler and mujahid as or struggle to emphasize how religion is significant for Kahf protagonist to develop her own personal and spiritual journeys. Indeed, these words are significant in Islam. Islam suggests Muslims to travel or move on when they are stuck in certain problems or places. So this suggestion can be seen in the Quran, Surah At-Taubah 21 about jihad and hijrah, which is explored in the next session. Yeah, so the migration of Kadra and her family to United States from Syria can be related to the hijrah in Islamic history. It can be traced back to the history of the Prophet Muhammad SAW and his family who did hijrah from Mecca to Medina in order to liberate and establish themselves in the 7th century. So the idea of hijrah can be related to the significance of journey in the traditional Bildungsroman. In exploring hijrah, Kahf alludes to the first At-Taubah 21, which means going or moving from one place to another place in order to achieve a better way of living. So by quoting Al-Quran, At-Taubah 21, Kahf draws on her on cultural heritage and the tendency to juxtapose Islamic tenets and social realities in Islamic writing. In Islamic history, Al-Ghazali is an important figure for Muslim because he is a role model for writers, poets, and philosophers. So Kaf clearly admires Al-Ghazali through the way she quotes Al-Ghazali text in her story as follows. So this is quotation: the present of the heart with God always or almost of the time certainly has primacy over the ritual acts of worship. Indeed, the rest of the realm of worship is sanctified by this conscious remembrance, which is itself the ultimate aim of the practical act of worship. And quote Al-Ghazali, Kahf, page 30. So this shows how Al-Ghazali tends to juxtapose the Quran or God's words with social or daily lives, in this case, reminding Muslims that the goal of their lives is mainly to worship God or Allah. And worshiping Allah is easy to practice daily by only remembering Allah in their hearts. So this is why Al-Ghazali has become an important and famous philosopher for many pious Muslims. His writing used simple words with deep meanings and remind Muslims of God's orders and how they should be applied to daily life. So Kaf imitates this technique in order to inspire her readers, particularly American Muslim, and to give guidance on how to practice Islam in the U.S., specifically after the invasion of Iraq in 2003. And now about the idea of the crossroad of America. The crossroad of America is the nickname for the state capital of Indiana or Indianapolis, which is the center for major interstate highways that crisscross Indiana. So this city connects the Hoosiers, which means the mountain people, and is the nickname for the natives of Indiana to the rest of the United States. So Kaf derives significant rhetorical mileage from imagining Kadra's home in the Midwest as the crossroad of America. She highlights the significance of Indianapolis as a place where people journeying from the east to the west of America, but also from the north and south of America, met, mingle, and become an amalgamated people. So the metaphor of the crossroad of America was built initially in order to expand U.S. Settlements to the west. Indeed, this text also reminds us of U.S. expansion into Native American territories and their subsequent settlement by mostly white European immigrants. So by setting her story in the most significant place for U.S. demographic intersection and for the early history of U.S. settlements, Kahf provides an alternative American crossroads where anyone who is from anywhere is able to exist freely. So Kahf novel thus builds upon different East and different West, representing crisscrossing American identities and ethnicities. Another example can be seen through the way Kahf compare Muslim community and Midwestern communities. As the narrator stated that the Hosier, quote, they are us and we are them. Ha, my folks are the perfect Hosier, end quote. So in this way, the novel illuminates the way in which the Bildungsroman can encompass both Islamic or Hijrah and U.S. concept, the crossroad of America, of geography, journeying, and travel, and thus emphasizes the hospitality of the form to a hyphenated hybrid identity such as Kadras. In addition to the concept of hijrah, the novel also imbues the Bildungsroman typically secular preoccupation with the journey toward personal development with spiritual significance. So Kadra's development is influenced by her spiritual journey as she lives surrounded by a da'wah center, mosque or masjid, in Masjid Assalamualaikum or Salam Mosque, where her father works as a da'i to perform the da'wah or to invite, to call, or to summon someone. So by naming the mosque as Salamu Alaikum, which is an Arabic greeting meaning peace be unto you, typically given whenever Muslim meet, Kahf shows the formation of global ummah, which is created through the Islamic greetings, which integrates all Muslims in the world. So this greeting also works to remind each Muslim that he or she is a brother or sister to any other Muslim, no matter their country or origin, and thus every Muslim has a quasi-familial obligation to provide help and support to all other Muslims in the global ummah. However, this pure greeting has been misunderstood by the dominant culture in the US, which tend to associate this salutation and perhaps many Arabic phrases with terrorism. So the danger faced by Muslim subjects who use this greeting in the US is highlighted by the example of an American Airlines steward who called a policeman to arrest a Muslim man, Khairuddin Mahzumi, an American citizen, who, as reported by Chris Baines in The Independent on February 14, 2018, quote, was publicly humiliated, searched, observed, and interrogated for hours after being removed from the flight before takeoff, end quote, at Los Angeles International Airport, as he repeated this salutation and used Arabic terms when he is calling his family in Baghdad. So similar to Kahf novel, the narrator also uses this salutation to describe the mosque where Kadra and her family often pray and worship, Salam Mosque. So by drawing attention to this Muslim salutation, Kahf not only shows the formation of global ummah, but also highlights the ignorance of the dominant culture, which finds this important greeting for the Islamic community threatening. So Kahf continues to show the formation of global ummah in her novel by describing the last of the 5 pillars of Islam, the Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca. Indeed, the 5 pillars of Islam begin with kalima of shahada, or declaration of faith. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. And the second pillar is salah, or prayer, performed 5 times a day in a set of form. And then the third pillar is saum, or abstain, fasting from dawn to dusk in the holy month of Ramadan before celebrating Eid al-Fitr, an important Muslim festival. And fourth pillar is zakat, or self-purification, or alms, or taxes, as an obligation for each Muslim to share his or her wealth in a set proportion to help the poor. And finally, the Hajj for those who can afford to do so financially and physically. The omniscient narrator described these 5 pillars of Islam, particularly the Hajj, by depicting the protagonist's spiritual journey to Mecca. When Khadra reached adulthood, she conducts at the Hajj or pilgrimage to Mecca. Muslims who are strong and healthy are required to perform Hajj as they would conduct physical activities. For example, long walking and long running in a difficult environment such as valleys, mountains, and in the very hot desert. So, by depicting her protagonist on the Hajj journey, the author highlights how Kadra's spiritual journey contributes to her personal and cultural formation, which has also involved hard work and strong efforts to seek social justice and equality. In one important moment, in one important moment in The Girl in Tangerine Scarf, the narrator described Kadra's spiritual journey to Mecca and the massive pilgrimage around Kaaba. Quote, so these circles get bigger and bigger as people all over Mecca face here to pray, then all over the world, even as far as America, wave after wave of people in concentric circles going all around the earth. And I am here at the center of all of that, end quote. So here, Kadra, standing in the center of the world, recalls the earlier crossroads of America and therefore makes an important link between Mecca or Saudi Arabia and Indianapolis or US as crossroads of different identities and ethnicities. In this way, Kahf negotiates American Muslim identity as a crisscross identity, which not only exists at the intersection of diverse cultures, but importantly, also different faiths or different religion. So by describing Kadra's spiritual journey to Mecca, Kaf emphasizes the urgency of spiritual life in the American Muslim Bildungsroman. Indeed, Kadra's identity can be strengthened if America is able to perceive her as American citizen of Muslim descent origin and consent law or approval. As a result, in order to ensure her woman protagonist is seen in the center of both the United States and global Islam, Kaf imagines Kadra standing at the center or at the heart of the world, which is Kaaba. So I think finally, Kaf's protagonist finds comfort in reciting the Quran, especially when she faces challenge as an American Muslim woman. Whenever she travels, Kadra recites Surah At-Taubah 21. The narrator also describes how when Kadra is assaulted by an American extremist, she repeats her mother's favorite prayer. Quran Taubah 21 quote, although my God, I seek refuge in thee from humiliation or humiliating, from being led astray or leading others astray, from wronging or being wrong, from ignorance or having ignorance perpetrated upon me, end quote. So this throughout this novel, Kadra is depicted as a muhajir or traveler or a person who keeps moving on, and a mujahid or a struggle for a greater degree of solidarity and compassion toward difference in society. In this case, different ethnicities and beliefs, both within and outside her own community. So, to summarize my presentation about Bildungsroman and the Crossroad of America in Mohja Kahf, The Girl in Tangerine Scarf, first, I have found that how Bildungsroman is changed or transformed by Mohja Kahf from the uh, personal journey of the protagonist become a spiritual and also cultural journey of the protagonist in order to show the formation of global Muslim community. I hope can give you insight how to investigate a literary text by engaging not only with the theory but also the context and importantly with the primary text. Nah, Demikian ya teman-teman, semoga bermanfaat dan nantikan nanti video saya berikutnya akan membahas novel-novel lain tentang Women's Literature of the Ummah. Semoga dapat mengundang diskusi dan jika ada pertanyaan lebih lanjut silakan komen, like, and subscribe my YouTube channel. Thank you ya teman-teman. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.